I'm going to attempt to keep this short and sweet. She says, knowing full well she's never been able to keep anything short and sweet. Hello, good morning or good evening whenever you are watching this. I hope you are doing well. My name is Catherine and today I am doing my September reading wrap-up. In the month of September, I read 13 books. Out of those 13 books, 2 were physical and 11 were audiobooks. I read 4 romance, 3 YA contemporary, 2 YA historical fiction, 2 middle grade, and 2 YA fantasy. The first book that I read was Unravel the Desk by Elizabeth Lim. This is the sequel to Spin the Dawn. Spin the Dawn follows a girl named Maya who enters a competition disguised as a boy to become the Imperial Tailor. She ends up working with the royal magician, the Imperial magician, enchanter, something like that. She ends up having to team up with him in order to keep the country from going to war with another country. As far as sequels go, I really enjoyed this one. I felt like it explored the magic system so much more with the first book. It really just covered basics, especially as Maya was trying to figure out the magic along with us. This one delved a lot deeper into it, which was really cool. I really enjoyed Maya and Eden, the Imperial enchanter. I don't know why I keep on forgetting the word enchanter. I really enjoyed their relationship and how it developed. My only complaint was the ending was a bit underwhelming, but for the most part, I really enjoyed it. Up next, I read Faith Taking Flight by Julie Murphy. This book follows Faith, who, after entering a government experiment thing, ends up with superpowers, the power of flight. She is trying hard to conceal these powers. However, in her small town, there starts to be these disappearances and she's trying to figure out what is happening to these people who are disappearing. Meanwhile, her favorite TV show is filming in her town and she starts a little bit of a romance with the main star. It was a really interesting book. I'm very interested to read the sequel to it. I did find that the characters were a bit on the young side, so that was a little bit of a turnoff for me. I ended up giving this book 3 out of 4 stars. A lot of the introductions of characters was very awkward. So it was something really weird about the writing style, which is weird because I really enjoy Julie Murphy's other books, but unfortunately this one didn't thrill me. I still liked it. I love a good book featuring, first of all, plus-size girl with superpowers, and she's bisexual, so she's exploring her sexuality. Overall, it was a good time. Could have been better though. Up next, I read the first 2 books in the Trials of Apollo series. So the Lost Oracle, what is it called? The Dark Prophecy. This is the 3rd sort of installment in the Percy Jackson universe. I know some of his other books technically take place in the same universe, but this is the ones directly related to Camp Half-Blood. This book follows Apollo, who has been cast down to earth and made human. He basically has to prove himself to his father Zeus and in order to be reinstated as a god. I gave the first book 5 stars and the second book 4 stars. Overall, I am really enjoying this series. I am loving seeing the books told, the story told through Apollo's point of view. It's very unique and it's cool seeing it from a sort of god's perspective, since until now we'd only seen it through the demigods, through Percy, Annabeth, all of them. I will say the second one, I just am not always the biggest fan of the way Riordan writes romances. I love Percy and Annabeth, but every other romance in his books, not my favorite, and there was a little bit too much of a focus of that in the second book with a certain couple, so I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, so it definitely knocked off a star for me for that, but overall I'm still really enjoying the series. Up next, I read Lovely War by Julie Berry. This book is a romance that takes place in World War I. It is told through this perspective of the gods Aphrodite, Ares, Hades, and Apollo. It is such a unique story and kind of hard to explain. Basically, Aphrodite you know anything about the like original Greek mythology, Aphrodite and Ares, they have a bit of an affair because Aphrodite's technically married to Hephaestus, and he catches them in a golden net. So he's caught them in his golden net, and Aphrodite is standing trial to him, and the way that she is kind of explaining things is by telling this love story. I fell in love with this book. I ended up giving it 5 stars. First of all, it is such a like theatrical type story, and it is so beautifully written. The like interwoven narrative with the gods and the humans, and how the gods are like affecting the humans. It's so good. I've said this before in like a reading vlog when I was reading it. I want to see it turned into a play. In fact, I am willing to write the script. I've never written a script before, but I am down. Next is I'll Be the One by Lyla Lee. This book follows Sky Shin, who is a Korean American girl who enters a competition to be a K-pop idol. She faces a ton of adversity because she is plus sized, and they doubt her ability to, first of all, succeed in like the dance portion of the competition, and overall faces just so much. While a part of the competition, there is a little bit of a romance between her and one of the other competitors. It's super cute. I ended up giving this book 5 stars. I did not expect to love this book as much as I did, but it was so cute, and it talked about so much that I feel like is very important in like misconceptions about like what plus size performers are able to do, which I appreciated so much as a plus size performer myself. Overall, I absolutely love this book. Highly recommend. Next, I read Bringing Down the Duke and the companion novel to it, A Rogue of One's Own, by Evie Dunmore. So this is a historical fiction romance that takes place during 1879. This book follows Annabelle Archer, who is one of the first female students to be attending Oxford University. She is studying on a scholarship given by the women's suffrage movement. So she has to like campaign and go to different protests, and ends up meeting the Duke of Montgomery. Of course, he's mysterious and very broody and very much made out to be kind of a like Mr. Darcy-esque character. Overall, it was a really cute book. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I did really enjoy the romance. It didn't 100% blow me away, but I thought it was like a really fun, cute romance. The second book, however, I had a couple more problems with. So the companion, A Rogue of One's Own, I ended up giving this one 2 stars. So this follows another woman who is part of the she's like the head of the suffrage group in Oxford. She is trying to run a like suffrage newspaper. However, her childhood rival slash a known rogue, and he's known for his escapades, Tristan Valentine, ends up buying the second half of this magazine. I love a good enemies to lovers. This one, however, I had some problems with. Felt like it was very like, yeah, women's empowerment, she doesn't need a man, all this stuff. But then I feel like it completely like discredited everything, and the romance was like weird. And overall, I felt like Tristan never like fully respected her. I don't know, it was weird. Next, I read Song of Achilles by Madaline Miller. I have been meaning to read this book for at least a year and a half now, and I just kept on like putting it off, and I knew I'd like it, but it was one of those books where you know you're gonna like it, but you have to find the right time and be in the right headspace. So I finally did it. Oh man. So Song of Achilles is a sort of retelling of a certain section of the Iliad. It follows Patroclus, who is the like kind of like awkward prince, not very good at combat. He's not, you know, super charming. He's not like the most handsome person. He ends up getting exiled from his father's court and has to join the army along with Achilles. So it starts off a little bit slow because you have to get a little bit of the backstory, but once you get about a quarter of the way into the book, it is so good. I absolutely loved, first of all, the like dynamic between Patroclus and Achilles. This definitely showed like a whole different side of Achilles, and while it doesn't like excuse a lot of the things that happen in his stories, there's a lot of like explanation of why he is the way that he is. I freaking love Patroclus. He is so precious and needed to be protected at all costs. Hate Agamemnon. Always have. Always will. He is the worst. Overall, it is just so well told, and the like way it takes the classic story and doesn't spin it per se, but gives you a new perspective on it is just so good. I gave it 5 stars. Next, I read Betrayed by Emily Henry. This is a romance that follows January, who is a romance author, and she is dealing with the death of her father and finding out that he had a secret life and was having an affair to the point where he had this like beach house that she never knew about. So she ends up going to this beach house to try and work on her newest romance book. There she meets Augustus Everett, who is a like literary fiction author and an old rival of hers from college. The two of them end up making a bet to switch genres that they write in. I listened to this book from start to finish, literally without pausing once. It was so good. First of all, it very much reflects what the story is telling, where January's trying to prove that romance is not just fluff, and there's so much more to it than just all about happy endings, because you have January and Augustus are both dealing with their own like personal traumas. It was such a beautiful romance. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I felt like Augustus treated January a little bit too much like Manic Pixie Dream Girl. He still had kind of an idea of who she was and put her up on that like sort of Manic Pixie Dream Girl pedestal that I'm not a huge fan of. I really enjoyed the book though, and I really want to read the book that January ended up writing. Up next, I read You Had Me At Ola by Alexis Daria. This book follows Jasmine Lynn, who is a soap opera darling, and she's finally getting her big break in something other than soap operas as a leading lady in a new bilingual film on a very popular streaming service. That's basically Netflix, but it's not Netflix because, you know, copyright. She is a bit of a paparazzi and tabloid magnet, especially after her latest messy breakup with a like famous musician. It also follows Ashton Suarez. He wants to make it big in Hollywood and break out of the just telenovela circle. He is a very private person. He doesn't want to end up on like any magazines or anything. He just wants to go in, do his job, get it done, get out. But of course he finds himself very attracted to Jasmine, and what's gonna happen? Drama's gonna happen. I ended up giving this book 4 stars. It was very cute. It was very steamy. I love the cast of characters. I kind of wish we saw a little bit more of the like supporting characters, especially like the other actors in the TV show that they were filming. But I adore Jasmine and Ashton's overall arcs. I feel like they both grew so much, and their relationship with each other like definitely helped. My only complaint was at the very beginning there was like a lot of like awkwardness between the two characters, and I felt like it would have fit for people in their like maybe late 20s, but given their ages, Ashton is like 38 and I think Jasmine is 30 in the books. I felt like it was just very like out of character for the age, you know? Overall, I really enjoyed it, and it was so good. Next, I read the Henna Wars. This book follows Nishat, who has just recently come out to her parents, and they are not receiving it as well as she hoped, and things get a little complicated when her childhood friend Flavia comes back into her life, and there's a little bit of a romance, of course. However, there ends up being like a competition where they have to create their own businesses. Nishat wants to create a henna business where she does henna art on people, and Flavia kind of steals her idea and doesn't realize the fact that she's very much like appropriating Nishat's culture. I ended up giving this book 3 stars. I enjoyed it. I thought it was cute. However, first of all, I want to say I hated Nishat's sister. I can't remember her name right now, but I did not like the sister in this book. The two of them are like supposed to be like best friends and inseparable, but her sister kind of treats her like garbage, and like obviously Nishat's going through a lot. She's like recently come out to her parents, and she's not being accepted, and she's facing a lot of bullying in school, and her like sister has her own problems to deal with, but she ends up blaming Nishat for a lot of things that are out of her control. Your sister's going through a lot. Can you like give her a break? Also, I am gonna be totally honest, I didn't completely buy the romance between Nishat and Flavia. I didn't feel the chemistry. It was cute. It wasn't my favorite. I really liked some of the conversations that it had, and the kind of discussion in the book about like cultural appropriation versus appreciation and all that. Last, in the month of September, I read Four Dead Queens by Astrid Scholte. It followed Lee, who seems innocent and seems very harmless, but she's actually one of the most skilled thieves in her quadrant. It takes place in a kingdom where that is separated into like 4 different quadrants. Each quadrant is run by a queen, and the queens like work together to make sure there is peace and harmony. She ends up discovering that there is a plot to kill all 4 queens. So with the help of a messenger named Riordan, she goes to the palace and tries to unveil this plot and save the queens. The overall storyline was really good. I really enjoyed the, like, it had like mystery, almost thriller type vibes to it without being like an actual mystery type thriller. However, I ended up giving it 3 stars. Why? The ending, like, it was very underwhelming. Also, there was a very like eugenics-esque plot line, and it like is kind of addressed at the end as a sort of throwaway, oh, this is a thing that shouldn't happen, we'll change that, in like a single sentence. But I feel like it wasn't fully addressed, and that made me uncomfortable. I enjoyed the book. I just wished there was a better ending. So there you go. Those are the books that I read in the month of September. What was your favorite book that you read in September? Let me know down in the comments. If you like this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to hit subscribe and click that little bell icon so you get notified every single time I post. I try to post every Monday and Thursday. Things have been weird this week, which is why this is not up on a Thursday. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and until next time, bye!